We are recording.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Franklin Tourism Commission, and proceed with the roll call. Ed Holfer.
Here.
Wiley is used or
Yep.
I don't have trouble with thank you. Barbara Wesner.
Here.
Jeff Kudrski.
Here.
All right. Excuse me. If you'll stand and raise the flag and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. It's 6:07, and I'd like to officially open the citizen comment period. Laura, we're going to actually have you under reports, so seeing no citizens present, we will close the citizen comment period and move on to the review and approval of our draft meeting minutes from the October 18th.
I believe there's just one correction, and that has to do with the date for the next meeting. I believe today is actually 15th. 16th.
Any other comments? Entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes with that correction made to the next meeting.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second, Barbara. Discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from the October 18th meeting, say aye.
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 Those opposed? The minutes are approved. Moving on to reports. We have Laura with us here from Engage Franklin, and Mark, again, was not able to be here this evening, and be in the capable hands of Mark Nelson. So, would you be able to update us on what's happening with Engage Franklin?
Yes, absolutely. So we just had our budgetary meeting where we, as you guys can see, we approved our 2024 budget and projects within it. There's a little preemptive news before I dive into my thought process behind all of this, which was approved by the board. This little bit of news doesn't directly impact Engage Franklin, but it will come up in discussion here. I personally just accepted a position to visit Milwaukee. I will continue my work with Engage Franklin as the executive director, so the work here will not stop or drop. With Rock Ventures, I'm used to working 70-hour weeks, so I haven't worked a 40-hour week in a very long time. So this will all continue. But yes, I'll be the associate director of sales there, in charge of meetings and conventions for the greater Milwaukee area. But also, that's a positive thing for Franklin, because also wearing my Engage Franklin hat, we'll be able to. Also, another bit of silver lining with that news for this group is that's one more degree of separation from Rock Ventures, right? So, because of Milwaukee will be paying me a full-time salary, all of my benefits and things like that. I will be the idea that was approved by the board of directors of Engage Franklin is that I'll be a 1099 employee of Engage Franklin then. So there will be no private funding coming into Engage Franklin's budget anymore. It'll be room tax, partnerships, advertising revenue, and all of that will just go toward a 1099. So I just wanted to clarify all of that before we went into any of the details of the budget. Okay, so on the revenue side of things, what we have here is the revenue listed under Franklin room tax in January is just what we have in the bank right now. It's just carried over from 2023's funds because we needed to hold those in order to activate for that dry period, as you guys know, in the beginning before the commission gets paid from room tax. So February, I know that we anticipated that would be the carryover. The Q4 2023 allocation that we had talked about, I know that we initially discussed it being $70,000. I just always like to conservatively budget on the revenue side of things. Pleasant surprises are much better than having to scramble. So instead of the 70 that we previously talked about, I put 60 in that tab for the allocation in February for those 2023 Q4 funds. And then I didn't include anything else until August. That would be assuming that we would end up reaching that 151.9 threshold in the second quarter with the new property being operative. If that needs to shift to September, October, the only real line item on the expense side that gets seriously impacted would be the naming rights contract. But we're in close, they wouldn't really have an issue with us pushing it back until we get our funds. So only giant item there. And so also, so for the August and November allocations that you see here, that would be for Q2 and Q3. I divided them that way just based on my perspective and what I think might be it. They might be a reverse where it's 101st, 145 Again, we can be flexible on the expense side of things once we see what those what the room tax collections are looking like so that we can forecast. And then in addition, you'll notice that the two of those numbers in August and November add up to being 245. In the Tourism Commission budget, you guys have 249 listed again. I just dial it back a little bit to be conservative. Pleasant surprises are better. And I know that that estimate of 249 in your budget is even conservative based on the projection from tax collection. So we have some conservative on top of conservative. So I feel like this is a confident number that I can push forward and plan.
Yeah, I agree. I talked with the finance director, and projections between the budget making and her final projections, she had increased the projection that she had. So, yeah, that's a firm number, and I'll get back to you with. I'm going to confirm that with her, and we'll take a look at it closely and give you the indication is that is going to be the projections and what we probably all can hope to get.
Yeah, which is great, and we can just continue to work together on touch points with as the collections come in, and we can all plan for things. This is a living document, of course, and on the expense side of things, we're going to be shifting things around, not project to project, but number to number, obviously, with regard to what's actually coming in. Because if we realize that what's coming in is significantly above this, I want to be able to spend it in real time in our marketing budget. Get the most out of it.
Yeah,
right?
we'll let you know here next week at the latest.
Perfect. I love it. And I really appreciate the communication with that. And then the only other revenue that we have in here is our private revenue, which is for our visitor guide and digital ad sales. So we're going to be anticipating a conservative amount of $30,000 total. That'll be for our advertising in our visitors guide and on our website. So I feel like I used to be able to pull off a $30,000 ad grab when I was in Wisconsin Rapids, so I certainly feel like this is attainable, if not a modest amount so that has us with a total budget on the revenue side of $380,500. And then as we flip to the expense side of things, I on the electronic version put notes. On the one that you're looking at that's static, doesn't obviously have the notes embedded in it, but then there's a third notes tab on this so that we can kind of step through what each of these line items mean to me when I'm kind of budgeting for them. So advertising here, it's just social and digital, right? So the traditional strategy, you keep that going nonstop. Every month you should be investing in it. It should be a constant thing. And then with the larger amounts, slightly larger amounts being during the busy season, of course, where the events, the majority of events are taking place. But again, this is a liquid budget, so we could end up, if something big is happening that we really want to throw $1,500 at, we just shift this money from month to month back and forth. And this is also one of those buckets where if we have more coming in than we anticipated, which I do see happening, one of those buckets where we're going to be increasing. So, because obviously what we exist is advertising. The collateral on the expense side here, you'll notice it chimes in around September. That would be the visitor guide design payment. And then we'll end up doing the printing and distribution in November and December to get this visitor's guide out for 2025. That would be the 2025 sample visitor's guide. Of course, we're going to end up doing a stand-in for the 2024 as well. Once again, it'll be more robust than this one's was, but this one will be full of ads, full of the entire community representation in their own messaging. So That's the Visitor's Guide project. You'll notice that the total expense on that is $30,000, intended to match the revenue that it would bring in. So this is intended to be, if at least break even, if not in the black. So there's that one. External marketing, I just have on the notes for this TBD. These are projects that come up throughout the year that all of a sudden it's like, we want to have an ad in the Wisconsin Travel Guide. We want to do an advertorial in another publication, different things like that where we can seek that out. And if we don't have anything come along that really suits that bill, I would look to do some content marketing where we seek out travel writers, have them produce some organic content for us. Obviously, it seems organic to the consumer, but we pay for it. So we would be seeking that sort of user-generated content, really, when somebody comes here, experiences what we have to offer, and then writes about it. So that would be the other one. And this, too, external marketing is another one of those buckets where if we have additional revenue, that pleasant surprise revenue, that's another bucket that we'll definitely. And the placement of the February and November in external marketing, I just placed that there for fun. It could go anywhere whenever these fun opportunities arise or whenever we decide to take on a project. Down to promotional items, of course, when you're an organization that's going out and about in the community, you need little giveaways, right? So we're going to be thinking of what that looks like for us for 2024, what our little giveaway will be. Print up lots of them and distribute them like crazy so that we can make it part of our local promotional campaign, and of course welcome visitors with well. If we end up we still have leftover Engage Franklin bags, which I think will carry us over for the first half of the year. We may end up doing more of those as well. You'll notice $1,000 here for public relations. We want to do just a website rollout and a local media campaign, like the awareness. What is Engage Franklin? What does it do for the community? We want to spend $1,000 to ensure that we're making sure that we communicate that to our local residents, what resources are at their fingertips. The reason in March is because that's when our website will 100% be live, but that can move. If it's ready in February, we'll shift it to February. Special promotions. So what we have there initially is already spoken for in February. We're sponsoring the Greater Milwaukee Golf Show welcome bags. So we have the bags, we're stuffing the bags, collateral on the bags, going out in the community to make sure that we have all of the areas represented, that they can place anything in there that they want. We have about 5,000 people from outside of the community coming in for that. So we want to make sure that we maximize that exposure. And then the other 1,500 in October, again, that's just a random spot that I put it, but we're looking for other opportunities, basically other sponsorship opportunities where we can get in front of visitors and make sure that they have visitor trade shows. We have those placed in March and August. March and October, because those are the two different. I lied. March and August, because in March is the Sports ETA Symposium that I went to this past year, and we produced a couple of great events. So that's the registration charge for that one. And then in August, we have the Teams Conference, which is like Sports ETA Symposium, only bigger. So we may as well continue on that train since it's a very lucrative. And then, of course, the travel associated with those are also in the next line item there. Because obviously flight, hotel, those types of things need to be covered while attending those larger events. The additional one that's in there for March is for, that one I think I amped up a little bit. It'll probably be less than $750, but that one is for the Wisconsin Governor's Conference on Tourism. That's an important industry event that we have to be present with every single day, stay abreast of everything, and obviously be on top of the networks.
Laura?
Yes.
So going back to the trade shows, so the one in March, that's the Sports ETA Symposium?
Yes.
And where's that again? That's in Ohio?
It changes every year. I don't remember where it is this year.
And what is the other one? I'm sorry, I just
Teams.
Teams.
Yep, Teams is another sports organization that facilitates relationships with event rights holders. This one could end up costing us less depending on local partnerships. We could be co-oping, that's an opportunity there, but I wanted to make sure to set aside the whole budget to make sure that we would be there regardless. And then website tech, that's the cost of our website. It'll be launching soon. The holdup on that right now is me, because I got tied up in Enchant. So I haven't had the time to content for them. But as soon as I get them full content, they said that they could crank that out in 70 days. So as soon as I have time enough to do that for them, we'll have a website online. then computer. This is the Rock Lab 30 right here. So this is currently belongs to Rock Ventures. So I will be purchasing a computer most likely for significantly less than this because I'm going to ask NSR if I could just purchase it from them. I've been love it. Great. It's important to supply the organization with the items it needs. Dues and subscriptions, that's for Destinations Wisconsin and for Sports ETA. Those are things that we plan to re-up annually. Those will be ongoing. And education and training, this one is for the registration for the governor's. Which, if any of you guys are interested in attending the governor's conference, we would want to sponsor that for you.
When is that again?
It is in March. It's usually early March. But it's definitely worthwhile.
It is worthwhile.
There are a couple of just random ones here. Mileage expense, office supplies, postage, shipping. Small amounts of money dispersed over the entire year. I don't know if I'd spend it all. It just needs to be there in case we use it, right? And then professional fees, that is at the beginning there to enlist help for tax preparation and ensuring that we're doing all the reporting that we do. That third party that we're seeking out. There may be another one, another expenditure toward the end. I'm going to be seeking out an accounting partner to, exchange for advertising and things like that so that we don't have to pay for the services, but that would be the third party that we would have doing the annual review. That's part of our regular agreement. If I can't find a partnership for that, that somebody would find that valuable, or if you guys are uncomfortable with that, seeing as though they would be a quote-unquote partner of Engage Franklin, then I would just pay for it, which is also fine. Because that one is at our expense. The next biggie is the stadium naming rights, of course. So I have worked in the $120,000 there. Whenever we get those funds, I haven't flagged as August because I believe we'll meet that threshold in Q2. But if it doesn't happen to be that, we'll just negotiate the pressing of that toward the end of the year. And I think they understand that's okay. They understand what. So that happens in 120 and then a $30,000 before the end of the year. And then our visitor center project, we're doing that mobile visitor center. We're going to be sourcing and customizing basically a visitor trailer to be on site wherever the action is. So it may or may not, depending on what we find and how we can customize it. It may or may not be in my permanent office while doing Engage Franklin things, but it'll certainly be there and be on site for any visitors or locals who are looking for. And then you'll notice down in payroll, we have the employee expenses. This is what I basically budgeted $60,000 for the full year. At this point in time, what it looks like is that $40,000 of those dollars will be mine at approximately 20 to 25 hours a week. That's kind of a discount based on my normal hourly wage, but I understand that I'm moving to part-time. But I do assure you guys that I have done all of these projects, and I can certainly do them in my sleep, and I am thrilled to be delivering on them. And then, obviously, built into there, too, you'll notice there's a little bump up. In March, I intend to hire somebody to assist me with social media strategy, some of the things that do require a daily touch, right? So that I'll end up filling in the staff with somebody who is engaged in the back end of the website, the social and digital, and can also be present at all events with our mobile. That person, ideally, is a person that I train and groom and hire behind me, right, and becomes a full-time executive director. If we find that right person and that ends up being the case, fantastic. If not, I would intend to move on until that right person.
Is that person, Laura, also a 1099 contractor? That's why there's no
Correct.
payroll taxes?
Yes, and so if and when I find this correct person that we're setting up for success, right, via a permanent position, then we would work on, for 2025, working in some version of a stipend for health. We as an organization can't afford to offer that as a benefit, naturally, not at this stage in the game, but stipend for health, and then a small percentage, maybe a 2% match on an IRA or something like that. We want to attract and keep a professional, right? I would then move from the director position to a seat on the board. And I already have a seat on the board, but I would still have board presence, very probably annoyingly active board presence. at that point in time, offering guidance and suggestion, and being present a lot. So that's the tentative plan for staffing, but I've assured the board and I assure you guys that this is a passion project of mine, so there is absolutely no way that I would ever step just into board and out of staff. And that is our budget. So you'll notice on the bottom, estimated gain loss, that leaves us with a carryover, because we do have that little gap in time, of course. Assuming we haven't hit that threshold where it's a 70-30 split and there could be quarterly payments, I'm leaving about $64,380, again, give or take, to roll over into 2025 to accompany that Q4 2024 payment that would carry over into 2025, so that we would have a strong start again, assuming we didn't reach that threshold. All of this has been meticulously thought over, and I'd be interested to hear if you guys see any gaps or spaces that you feel you'd like to see me shift things around, or messages to bring back to my.
Laura, I had a note I put when you were going over the collateral materials. So, really like the idea that ad revenue will hopefully cover most of the creation and printing of the visitor guide. You mentioned a piece to get us through that. That's going to be for 2025. You mentioned an enhanced piece for 2024. I don't see any expense for that, or is it in an area other than collateral?
No, you're right. I do have additional ones, so I have approximately 3,000, I think, pieces from last year's, and it doesn't have a year on it.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that one through all the way, but you're right. There should be a space where we do a reprint with with alterations to the one that we had there too. I would estimate that would be probably about, I'd cap it at 5,000, my guess, for that project. Probably less.
Within the first quarter, maybe, of 2024, or April, May?
It would probably be May, ramping up for the busy season. So let me put that in spiral expenses. Thank you for that. That still keeps us on pace, or we're never spending it.
And so these guides will be mailed out to folks, or how are you distributing these?
Yeah, so visitors guides, we'll ship them most likely at different networking events. I will take boxes of them to other visitor centers, right, for other CDBs, other DMOs and things like that. But then Vector and Ink, the company that distributes them to the visitor centers along the highway. So we'll be utilizing that service, because you basically give them X amount, and then they restock them for you at each of the sites that you've chosen. We can choose which thoroughfares into the state. That's usually where they are, is at the thoroughfares in the state that we think that we're getting the most traffic.
And so is that distribution fee then in the 5,000, like what you're paying Victor? And then you've got $10 a month in postage. You're really not planning on shipping any of or sending any of the guides, the interim ones, right? This is just more or less an admin postage, right?
Right. Okay. And it could be the occasional one-off if somebody requests through a customer service, message through our website that they would like one sent to California because they're coming here for one reason or another. A one-off here or there, we can.
You'll have some for City Hall here, in the South Suburban Chamber office.
We'll have them at City Hall, South Suburban Chamber office, and all of our hotels, wherever restaurants that they'll allow us to have them. And we'll just make sure that we have them stocked at any given business. Obviously, Rec Ventures will have those distributed, and then anytime that we do welcome bags for any larger groups that come in, we're going to make that beautifully into those welcome bags. We'll have a ton of beef jerky sticks in there, fun little welcome things to make people feel like they're just.
So let me just say, first of all, I mean, sounds like your news about your new opportunity sounds like for someone with your background, a really a good opportunity. But I gotta admit, I'm sorry to hear that this is happening now with Engage Franklin where it's at. And so can we dive a little bit deeper into how this is all going to work? So you said how many hours per week did you think you'd be able to allocate to Engage Franklin?
So I'm guesstimating about what it would take for me to effectively produce the deliverables here would be about 20 to 25 hours a week.
Okay.
Considering I've done a lot of these projects several times over, I can be very efficient with them. Now, however, that doesn't include, so Peggy over at Visit Milwaukee, the CEO, and Leslie, the VP of Sales and Marketing, who is my direct supervisor, I only accepted the position on the condition that that this would be okay, that they would understand that I would be dedicating time to Engage Franklin, that this is something, it's my baby,
Yep.
It's my passion project, and I won't let it drop, and I will see it through all the way. And their response to that was overwhelmingly, absolutely, yes. Community partnership is everybody's job at Visit Milwaukee, was their exact response, and this is your way of.
They give you a timeline on that as far as we'll do this for the next 12 months?
No, ongoing.
Ongoing.
I could do this forever, and they would be thrilled with
And
it
they're
as long
okay with
as
that,
I was
okay.
results oriented with them as well. As long as I'm producing what I need to be producing, which I certainly will, I won't, no issue. And they also said that I could dedicate traditional Visit Milwaukee time project.
And then, so what does this mean for, and maybe, I think I've lost track a little bit about on how the breakdown goes with responsibilities at Ballpark Commons or the Rock Ventures. So, like, you're heavily, you're really knee-deep in Enchant right now.
Very much.
So what does this mean when do you officially start, by the way, with
Visit.
with Visit?
I officially started on the 27th of November
Okay.
here. And in my talks with Mike Zimmerman and the leadership, SVP leadership group over there, they understand that I am taking Enchant to just beyond. The hardest work is now, right? Getting the systems and processes in place, hiring, training, doing the soundtracks, doing the walkthroughs for safety and all of that. So I am participating heavily in all of those activities, and I will be there opening day. And then thereafter, I told them I would be there on an as-needed basis, but I will be fully committed to Engage Franklin, Visit Milwaukee forward. Which Mike understood.
Yeah.
Everything is extraordinarily amicable. Great relationship. I work my butt off for them right now up until the last day. So they appreciate that very much. They also appreciate that Engage Franklin is remaining a priority, top priority of mine. So I can't say the exact response because I'm being recorded and there are 4-letter words in there. From Mike, but it was very friendly and pleasant.
Yeah.
So, and they understand that no future projects beyond this point will be given to me because I will have a full.
So they will not be contributing anything towards Engage Franklin for salaries or payroll. Is that right?
Correct.
Going forward here, and then is Rock Ventures requiring anything from your new relationship with, are they coming to you, obviously not with projects like Enchant, but
Right.
is there other responsibilities that you have that are more, been more involved with the development than Engage Franklin, or?
I think Engage Franklin is my way to stay involved with them, right? And they see that. So the way I see it is I'm just as involved with Rock Ventures moving forward as I would be involved with any of the other venues, right? Because it'll be my job to source events and source visitors to bring them money. Rock Ventures money, Polish Center money, Milwaukee County Sports Complex money. They're now part of the asset inventory, so to speak.
Right.
That Engage Franklin, and I've already, for example, a lot of the spaces that we're going are natural fits. Like when the Milwaukee Golf Show, they wanted Mosh because of the proximity to Lux and things like that. So I think they see it as an asset that I now have a very intimate, maybe intimate is the wrong word, an extensive knowledge to sell their space.
Right.
And I'm taking that to a bigger stage.
So you'll be interacting with them as a key tourism partner,
Yes.
tourism asset here in Franklin on that. And the reason, and I did a poor job of actually phrasing that question when I asked it, because
I think I did a poor job of phrasing the answer.
So, no, because as you answer, I'm like, I should have said it this way. So this position of yours was a full-time, position, which makes sense given, launching this enterprise. And so that's going to be scaled back now to 20 to 25 hours a week. And I guess my question was, does that, what does that mean for activities? I'm not even asking it well in the rephrasing of it. I guess there's so many responsibilities that you anticipated that needed to be covered or be, things to oversee. That's now going to be at a reduced capacity by about half. So what become the priorities now, I guess, as you envision in this new role?
The way I see it, I'll actually probably get to spend more time with Engage Franklin in this new endeavor, because splitting time with Rock Ventures, having them pay my salary and me working on projects for Rock Ventures. Rock Ventures was an extraordinarily demanding place to work, right? Time-wise, resource-wise, energy-wise, in a good way. They produce great things. There's a ton of respect there. So splitting time where I was Rock Ventures and Engage Franklin, I feel like this child got more attention, right? Well, number one, because that's where my salary came from, and number two, because there was more immediate need. This is stuff that I could do. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that next week. I'll do that, before the next commission meeting. Things can be put off when it's being shared time with something that's always something needs to happen yesterday, right? When I'm doing it with Visit Milwaukee, I'm stepping into such an active, it's such a well-oiled machine, a position that it has existed for a very long time and has a lot of congruency with the Engage Franklin piece. But I feel like I'll actually be able to spend more time and more thought space on Engage Franklin while working with Visit Milwaukee, because I'm doing true tourism only, not tourism and project management. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of the operations. I'm totally in the sales process. And I feel like in this scenario, although it says less hours, I wasn't working 40 hours a week for Engage Franklin anyway. I was probably, during chant, basically 2 hours a week, right? But it would ebb and flow based on the other needs. This can be more consistent, and I feel very good about that. And it's on top of the 20 to 25 is on top of what Visit Milwaukee understands I'll be doing while under their roof, right? And while at events that they're paying me to be at. I'll always have my other hat on. I'll just be under this hat,
And then so when this other person, as you maybe bring on the support person, again, are you forming like a little sole proprietorship or something that this person would join you in that effort, and so that's what gets billed then to Engage Franklin?
So it'll be Engage Franklin 1099 with both of them. Separate.
Oh, I see.
So instead of them being a hire of mine,
Yep.
it's going to be two separate contracts, both with Engage.
Got it. Okay. Good to know.
What does the timeline look for that?
For hiring, I already have 2 prospects. So I would anticipate having somebody onboarded at the latest by March, because I want them to be there for the website rollout so that they can actively manage the back end of it as they. And additionally, when we launch the local PR, along with the website, along with all the other initiatives, I want somebody to be actively managing social media, because, well, a lot of that is imperative to happen at the same time. Big rollout, right? So if I can't have my hands on it all day because I'm doing this, that, or the other thing, I want somebody who I trust to have their hands.
What does that do for the timeline? I don't know that you had a specific timeline for developing the private fund part of things.
Developing, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, whether it's not just advertising, but whether it's a buy-in model for that whole thing, because I know it's been talked about before, and I guess if I'm not on your board, if I was on the board, I'd be interested in knowing how we're gonna supplement to make sure we've got that extra income coming in. Should they need to have that staff person more, more than the 20,000 a year, or should anything happen to your situation or whatnot? So
Right.
I just don't know how that board is going to address developing that revenue model from the private sector.
Sure. So, like you mentioned, yes, a partnership model has been discussed. And I've sat down with Kristen from the chamber. We don't want to duplicate efforts there. Obviously, what our assets are would be significantly different with our audience being people not from the area, being destination individuals. So the way I've transformed that in my head and the way I've spoken about it with the board is I'm looking at it more like a transactional situation. Of course, we're heavy in partnerships, and all of the partnerships exist for in the networks will be strong. But in the first year, I'm looking at it like we're going to sell ad space on our website. We're going to utilize our assets and create some revenue streams there. Only once we get into that will I know how lucrative that will be outside of the visitor guide collateral, which I believe will end up being in the black eventually, if not immediately. And with regard to the transitioning, kind of the developing of this person into a greater role and the phasing out of me, how that handoff might be taking place and the comfort level with that. I've already discussed with my board, I should have mentioned this originally, that we're doing at the board level for Engage Franklin, we're doing quarterly checkpoints and ensure that the 40 to 20 ratio is what's actually deserved and what's actually in real time effective. If it turns out that this person is fantastic and they're shouldering a ton of responsibility and allowing me to step back a little bit, we go to 30-30. Then we go to 40-20 the other way. You know what I mean? And we kind of flip the script on that. And I'm not doing this because I need this revenue stream in my life, and I'm doing it because I want the money. I'm doing it because I want Engage Franklin to be successful. And I feel like we have to create a model where we build something where this exists.
Because the web advertising is where you and the chamber are going to be in the same space at the same time. That'll
Right.
be competitive there.
Yeah.
When you first came on board, and we had a conversation about like bus tours and things like that, where Engage would be more, well, you've got people coming in, I'm going to set you up with this restaurant or this whatever. That's where you're not going to compete with the chamber. So I'm just looking to see how that we develop that side of things.
Right. Well, and what makes it different, really, what makes our advertising piece more complementary and not competitive with the chamber is that where we're marketing our website is very different from where they're marketing their website. We're marketing internally to our community partners and people in this vicinity. We're marketing 100 miles and out, right? We're marketing at these national conferences where people are bringing in people from West Coast, right? So it's different eyes. It'll be on these ads. So whereas like maybe an insurance broker might find a ton of value in a chamber ad on the website, they wouldn't find value. That's not our audience, right? Instead, it would probably be a restaurant or a hotel or Root River or complex, or you know what I mean? Different spaces that are looking to draw visitors while they're in town, or make it look like a more robust destination to bring visitors. Yeah, Kristen and I have sat down at least twice, and we'll continue to meet regularly to ensure that we're being complimented.
You have like address to the Rock and stuff. I mean, so where do you think is going to go from there? Are you going to be doing it towards visit Milwaukee, or
I think what I'll probably
is
do
Rock
is
going to let you? Rock probably won't let you.
I anticipate they will. So right now I'm in the Bullpen, which is their co-working space. So I'm not active in like a Rock office. So it's in a space that a lot of businesses work anyway. Like a title company works there, real estate agent works there, development company works there. A lot of, I think it's a porta potty company works out of there. So if I'm asking Mike if I can maintain my desk there, and I'm almost positive he's going to say yes at no charge. But if he does want Engage Franklin to pay for it, it'd be some amount of money to have a desk there. That it's a comfortable space for me. I stays on like buying my own,
Right.
stuff like that, right? So
But that's where that visitor center,
will come in, yes.
you know, so you could, I mean, I think you need to have some type of presence somewhere.
Darn right.
That's on this, you know, whether it's at bullpen, like you say.
It's a temporary solution, right? Where it's intended to be a transient workspace.
So you have the money actually to set the intent with that visitor center, you probably use that money for that project if he charges.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be such a small amount of money that we'd probably just blanket it on top and say, okay, fine, we'll be at 7,000 rolling in 2025 if we don't have prize funds, right? Like, doesn't surprise funds. So there's a lot of wiggle room by how conservatively I budgeted the revenues, so I'm not worried about something like that. But you're right, eventually, a bricks and mortar space. My long-term goal for Engage Franklin is to have a space with a permanent address where somebody could drive in, say, I'm at the visitor center, right? That's my goal eventually. The mobile is going to be an ancillary piece that'll be our stepping stone to get to that place. We'll have that to start with, but eventually I'd love to have both.
At the bullpen, are you just out we have one of these co-working spaces, so are you at like a just flex desk where you just grab your laptop, sit down somewhere, open it up, or do you have a dedicated desk where it's your desk, your locked file cabinet, or do you have a private office where you've got a key to a door, there's a desk inside this office while you're dedicated desk?
And
okay.
you know it's mine because it's got a bunch of stuff all over it.
Yeah,
so,
no, that's a cost. Okay, that's a great way of going about it. So then, does the bullpen, if you have a dedicated desk membership, do you get a address with that? Are you like
yeah.
Suite 210?
Yeah, it's 303. Yep.
303?
Yep. 704 South Ballpark Drive, Suite 303.
So we could have a mailing address within.
And then there's a reception person that any mail that gets delivered there, packages that get delivered there,
And I'm just curious. So like the retail value on that's like a couple $100 a month.
I don't know. I haven't been charged.
Okay.
So I don't. That's where my thought press would. I mean, I used to work at the Hudson out of downtown or whatever too, and that I think was 109.
Yeah,
Something like that.
That sounds about right. That's the ballpark.
I'm guessing that they're
Right.
market value. But I get that alone in colored printing. Like that
Oh, I
for all
think
the
it's a
stuff
great.
do,
I think
right?
it's a great arrangement. I mean, for something like this, a startup basically, these co-working spaces. You know, for a couple $100, you have a physical address. You know, you've got Wi-Fi that you tap into. You've got a printer there that you share. You got everything. You know, and nobody's really visiting you there. You know, that's not the visitor center.
Well, in conference room. So if
Right,
you need
that's
to have private meetings,
You can head in there, book that space.
Laura, you mentioned in the email, talked about it before, today you mentioned the 30-70 split. Can you, and it happens about $500,000.
506, 334 is the magic number. That's one of the things on my dedicated desk I have just staring at me.
So what does the split mean to you? How does that function in terms of total tax, hotel tax dollars, and commission, and engagement?
What it really means to me is that I can budget quarterly, which
So-
is exciting. Whatever that amount is, we'll work within it and make it great.
Okay, so
Right.
the question I'm asking is what's the cash flow? How does that work?
Well,
Your
it will be-
definition of it.
Yeah, so then, I mean, I anticipate once we get past that point, we'll have forecastable revenues on a quarterly basis.
In what amount?
And then also, I mean, until new keys get added to the community, it'll be year over year forecastable, right? I don't know when the pandemic actually start, breaking ground or operating or anything like that, but like, we'll have our inventory, we'll know what it's capable of producing, and then we'll know that every single quarter, you guys get your allocation of 70, and then I'll get my 75 within that, right?
Okay. That's what I was trying to
Basically
find
convincing
out.
the city to start splitting 70-30.
Yeah. I think that'll be a very good day.
Okay, well, I guess the reason I asked that is the agreement we have right now, the Tourism Commission gets X amount of dollars. They get 70%. Tourism Commission will get 70% from the hotel tax dollars. And we allocate 75% engage Franklin. And that's how we see it continuing on, isn't it?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
currently, the Tourism Commission gets the total room tax revenue less $151,900, right?
Mhm.
So it's not technically 70%, it is whatever it is,
No,
right?
when we get to that
Yeah,
split.
but yep, you got it, when we get to that
the
split.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll all know what choice. It'll be really fun.
I think you should probably have a conversation with finance to make sure that the logistics of that are worked out in advance, because I don't know if that'll be something that would have to come to council.
Talked with Danielle, it didn't seem to be. And he offered to, transfer the percentage of the funds that's supposed to go to Engage Franklin and do that transfer. Done that in previous position. So,
But just, I don't know why they're doing it the way they're doing it now. City taking theirs out first. I don't know if that was a past council directive. I don't have any understanding of
I
that.
think it's because, the way the statute allows them to continue to function with getting the 151,000 before they start allocating the dollars is why. But once they get to that 501,000,
551.9.
551,900,
Who's counting?
then there's just an automatic split, and they can. I think it's just.
I
And that
imagine
was a
it's spring out of
pre-existing
COVID
agreement.
too, right? When we were hoping you'd get to that point,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, it was probably just past precedent. And I'd be excited to talk to the council about it when that split happens, because it's the opportunity for tourism to grow the general fund at that point. Because when you're getting 30%, that's the greater of, that means you're getting more
You
money.
can move beyond your one.
You're
Yeah.
past the one.
And as we grow,
Right.
you grow.
And
Right.
that allows it to be just a percentage,
Yeah.
and then it automatically can split up as we.
But then it'll be important that the city follows up on elections, that we're not chasing people that are,
Right.
have been paid in a year and a half or whatever. the case may be. We're obligated.
Back to your point, it may, like you said, it doesn't sound like there's any, finance department has no issue with changing to that model, but it may take somebody, either on the tourism commission or probably the tourism commission, making a request and just say, based on this new hotel being open and just even a conservative estimate of revenues for 2024, could we start in the second quarter or whatever with this 70-30 split, and we see where
The point where the 30% is a greater amount than the 151.9 is, was that $506,334. As soon as we hit that point, total room tax collection, we have officially surpassed the spot. And we have projected about $500,300 for 2024. So we're getting close to that. We hope we're getting close to that.
Any other questions on the budget reporting? Okay.
But Danielle did say that she would, when we got to the point where we started splitting the revenues up with Engage Franklin now, she'd be willing to send that.
We'll forward it directly from
Yes.
your office to.
Right, because we're supposed to
Right.
send 75% within 30 days upon receipt, which is a bookkeeping thing, but when finance department sends it from the revenue collection account and puts it in the tourism commission account, at that date, when that electronic transmission or accounting transmission is done, we've got 30 days to get them. It was important to me to make sure we got notified as soon as possible, and that's what Danielle followed to do that.
Yeah, because technically the city can't spend any money without approval from the council. So I don't know if, I'll talk to Jesse, see if anything has to be done.
Yeah, we just present the budget to them and move it. And the tourism commission has the ability to contract. So, yeah, probably something, to check the legality.
Laura, are you, I'm asking this question, under Common Council reporting, we're going to talk about the presentation done here at the Common Council.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe, depending on what your schedule looks like, right after the report here with Engage Franklin, I guess I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for a very well done presentation of Common Council. Was targeted, it was to understand the high point of what you're doing, Franklin. Tell from the reaction of council members, they were receiving that information and asking really good questions based on what they were hearing. Thank you so much for that, John, for running the show and keeping us all organized together. So it seemed like it. We'll get into it just in a minute with the council report, but just in case you had to head somewhere else, I just wanted to say thank you. After the Tourism Commission for a job well done on that report.
Appreciate you guys very much. And if you want me to stay, I will stay. Otherwise, thank you guys very much for your time.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Good
And
night.
Good year.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I love that the remaining time I get to do the two things I love the most. So it's going to be fun.
Night.
Good night. All right, moving on to the banner.
So I have been doing some research on the concept of installing some different brackets, some spring-loaded brackets. And I have these folks with Olympus Group that we've been working with, I guess, since the inception of the banner program.
Right.
And they're working out a design and a quote on getting us spring-loaded brackets that hold the banner. The spring-loaded brackets give with the wind, and the windstorms are what has been tearing down banners. Banners that we have are about the best model there are for strength to ratio. You start using heavier banners, then you have to start using a lot heavier brackets to hold them up, and then things really start to be expensive. As it is, these brackets will be probably 3 times as expensive as we initially have. And we have a lot of them that are down. Basically, the only really intact areas, Drexel and 51st and St. Martin's Road, where the trees shield the light poles from the wind. The rest of the roots are very exposed. So, anyways, they're working on that. And $38,000 was just a ballpark estimate. So, if we take a look at that expense to get new brackets, get them designed, and then have them installed, we're probably nudging our budget for next year, but we have $15,000 in our budget this year. And if you take a look at the quote from when we first started this, to buy the banners themselves was about $14,000. I'm thinking and we have no banners. So, as predicted. So if we used our dollars this year to buy the banners, which, as we understand it, are the best approach that we can use, then we can stock up on the banners, and then we can get the designs done with the spring-loaded flexible brackets next year. And see with replacements and maybe just refitting some of the other brackets that we have. And there's there is a economy of scale in doing them all, purchasing all the brackets, and then having them installed. And we may not want to have them all installed right away. You know, like I said, St. Martin's Road and Drexel, but that's kind of a pretty minor part. The rest of it's you're all wrecked. You know, on Ryan Road and Rawson, which is mainly the roots, they're very exposed. There's not a lot of trees, shield. Anyways, so when I get a firm bid or a firm estimate, I should say, on the cost of those banners, well, we have a cap. We have caps to how much we can spend on it. We'll bring it back in the December.
Installation is done by the Olympus Group.
No, Olympus. Yeah, the city, and we did all this, you know, as inexpensively as possible, and that's why we got the bracket. And we had the city do it, but you know, the Public Works Department isn't in the banner. So we would have Olympus, and they would probably have a contract. So,
Would you suspect that we would spend that $15,000 in the 23 budget on the banners or brackets?
banners,
On the banners. Think that will cover what we need? We don't know yet.
So if you take a look, you know, like I said, it was $14,000 to get us stocked up. We might be a little short. Not all of our, like I said, St. Martin's and Drexel still have some banners that are up. So it won't all be down, but we'll probably have, my guess is 10 that were there that we still have. So I'm hoping we get as close as possible. We may need some more that we can put in for next year. And maybe they can, because 132 is all, that's the total number of banners that we need if we want to do everything.
Should we approve that expenditure tonight or wait till December?
It's under like reports and new business, so really I don't think we can do that.
Oh.
It would be better to have the number of banners we can get for the $15,000 and bring that back.
Any questions? Common Council report.
Yes, that would have been last Tuesday. We presented our activities and our expenditures for this year and the budget for next year. And, you know, Lance talked about, you know, the background with the agreement with Engage Franklin, and or gave a presentation on what Engage Franklin would be doing for the money that we contracted with them for. So as Lance said, it was a productive meeting. The council was very interested, very engaged, asked questions. I think it went well, and I think it was good that we had other folks than just the economic development director, the staff support person. Actually, which would be a more appropriate description. You know, people that are on the commission rather than have the staff support person.
Ed, you were there receiving this information.
Yes.
What did you?
It was good. It was excellent. That you're in participation and that they actually explain to the public and the council some of the real things that are underway.
But Lance did a great job. Parts of it. I think it went well. I mean, it seemed to be very
Outlining it all for us. That Laura really did have a nice presentation. And she, right on. And of course, most of the questions listen to or tell Laura, you know, we're interested in that. Very specific things. What about this festival or like this?
So as we discussed, projection did come in after we had budget. And so they're forecasting, does forecast potential for more revenues for Engage Franklin. And so I'm going to confirm that forecast. Ask about degree of confidence, or there's lots of statistical terms used for it, in achieving those numbers, and maybe the percentage back from that we can budget, so that and still be confident. Maybe we want to amend our budget and take a look at helping allocating more dollars. But they'll be receiving those forecasts are fairly accurate. What's our degree of confidence? So I'll discuss that. But it came, those updated forecasts came in after we had done the initial budgeting with the city and then brought it over later. And so that being said, we will, to answer your question, we will have some extra dollars. Like we have $20,000 in legal, and we only spent almost $6,000. So I don't anticipate we will spend $10,000, another $4,000 in the next month. So we might have some. Yep.
Moving on to unfinished business.
I think we had
I was
particular.
fishing for. I didn't think we had any, but I was hoping somebody would say, "Oh, wait a second, I think." So, yeah, obviously, it's an agenda item now that we'll
I have
address any unfinished business.
I have gotten the signed copies from Laura of the Engage Franklin, tourism services agreement, and also I got bylaw for them.
Did she send you? I know you passed this along. Their most recent board meeting. And you a copy of the most board meeting. If we would get those, really, but
I don't recall getting.
I'm just curious about this. They must have discussed her situation at this board meeting. Official word was, what their board president, what they discussed.
But they just remember.
Right. Fresh. All happened. This announcement.
I asked to fill out the rates of that.
Right. Yeah. New business. We maybe follow up on something that had brought up at our last board meeting, which was our commission meeting. Was just, I think you were posing a question about civic organization and coordination, and leading a conversation about what might be. Well, why don't you pick it up from there? Put words in your mouth. But
when John asked me about it, I was really prepared to speak about it. The thought was, some months back, members of the council got a letter from a lady displeased that we don't have a Parks and Rec department, that the school district takes care of the recreation department, and it's not coordinated with parks. That's been a battle that was fought 20 years ago in the community, and that's the way they've gone. But as I'm looking at things that may be coming, like the Orchard View development, if they're calling it a town center would have to have some kind of community civic programming to actually make it a town center. So then it just rattled around in my head, well, who would do that? Do we want a developer? Are they supposed to do that? And then we don't have any control over kind of activities it might be. Would the school district be interested in doing that kind of an activity as opposed to the classes and things that they're doing now? Would the city want to hire somebody that would do those types of activities? It got me thinking, well, what are the other communities doing, like farmers markets, band concerts, family nights, holiday events, all of those different kind of things. And I guess the overall question is that an area that we want any involvement in? Is there any interest in doing a little survey of surrounding communities to see how they do those things? And then is it in our interest in purview to try and spur the conversation with some of the other entities, whether it be the rec department, whether it be the Franklin Civic Celebrations Commission, all of them? I don't know, but I'm just trying to find a way to see if there's interest in looking at it on a broader long-range scale, and then how to see about gathering input from all the other stakeholders in it. And again, the overriding thing is it something we want to be involved in or not? You know, we keep looking at the concerts in the park requests and all of those kind of things. And engage wouldn't be a bad way to do some of those things, but they're going to have their plate full in a slight shift in direction, it sounds like, at the moment. So I just wanted to throw it out there and spur the conversation.
When you said, and you're right about the purview, what element to that might be tourism promotion related, where we can't, because certainly seeding festivals, you know, creating new events in the community, that has been tackled by tourism promotion, you know, destination organization, tourism. That's certainly an activity that has been, you know, an appropriate use of tax dollars. How that fits into, you know, what you're talking, because you're talking about maybe grabbing some existing programs, right, and looking for more of a coordinated effort, and like where there's new opportunities, the new town center development, because I agree with you there, they look like there are going to be amenities there that will allow for programming. We'll see what the final, you know, what they end up with, and challenge to the band shell or an area where there might be music after hours, you know, maybe some noise issues, but definitely they've got open space there that they had planned to do some.
And it doesn't necessarily mean tourism dollars either. You know, like Greendale, I think Oak Creek has somebody, don't they, that does community events?
Yes, but that's through the Tourism Commission.
Okay, so Greendale had a person that put on all these community events. So whether it's tourism dollars or whether the city, either through a rec department or the city hall itself, would allocate dollars. But I mean, those are all things that I think somebody needs to look at so that the city can either say absolutely not, or yeah, at some point in time we may, or in a partnership with XYZ. But if we don't start looking at it now, we'll be in a situation as, well, here's the facility, what are we going to do?
I think Greendale ran their events through their chamber. It was like a downtown chamber thing. And Oak Creek ran all of their events at their town center through the tourism. That's where their dollars came, where the support came. And the person who, from when I was still with the chamber, she was housed in the city hall. So I think there are a lot of different ways in which things are approached, and we're different. either of those ways. And you said something about being involved, and I think right now, on a very simple level, an involvement in terms of support, financial support, if we're in a position to do that, would be, I think, a good first step. Whether it's concerts in the park or Forte Theater or other groups that we want to, that make Franklin look good. It's a good public relations.
And see, like in New Berlin, their rec department put on a Winterfest. Well, so now we've got Civic Celebrations is doing their first holiday program coming up next week, next Saturday. But I question how much volunteers can do versus staff who's paid and committed to do things, and just knowing the way it takes the city a long time to decide on a direction and to do something. I just thought maybe we should.
The library does, some of those events too. I know they're doing something later, early December, some kind of visit with the elf or something like that. So, that's within the library. The Library Foundation is supporting that, well, insofar as we're doing basically a cookie walk or a bake sale at that time. But that helps to support the Library Foundation. So there are a lot of things going on. A lot of things are being operated and run by very dedicated volunteers.
Could the reach be better if more people involved in promoting things like that?
Exactly.
So my intent is not to step on anybody's toes or anything. It's just have the discussion and
Don't bring it all together.
begin a thought process.
Because at some point, we're going to have more money to deal with. So we'll have to decide how to spend it wisely.
We're just stipulated by state statute, depending on tourism
Yes. Right.
related.
And I think the challenge we've had in the past, Barbara, but I think it's a challenge we should be up to is creating sort of that filter whereby when these requests come in, take them out, and the ones that make it through that filter are ones that we, so that the next organization, we're not, it's just not, well, who happened to come to a board
Right.
or send a letter, but it really is a program where these types of things would be eligible and help guide some priorities. And I think we tried to do that. We had a form that you would complete.
Yeah.
Or grant us, some money, whatever it might be.
And like said, partnership, something may not totally, but we have a component in partnership.
But maybe a little bigger scale of things too. I'm just making stuff up. Maybe it's a snowshoe race through Whitnall Park, or things that are they bring people in from a broader area, but then somebody working with the local restaurants and stores to say, well, can you tie into this event? That somebody can put up a tent and hot chocolate and all ancillary things to pull it off.
I mean, that's what I've seen. That seems to be a good. I've seen tourism, commission get involved in that because that does. It's good for the city, local residents. Obviously, it's a great local event, but it's an event that goes beyond city borders and brings people in. And it may not be, an overnight stay, but it gets people into Franklin, partnering with restaurants and venues, so that the next time around, top of mind might be, let's go back there, or let's, example that event. Well, where do we just from a keep this discussion going with step on what to do.
I'm open for ideas, guys.
Well, first of all, what kind of extra money do we have to do some additional things? Have any? And you would have a better handle.
Well,
On the
there's
budget.
reserves.
Yeah.
And like I said, we probably have, what, there's $20,000 extra this year.
No rollover.
Beyond,
We don't.
no, they don't roll over. Well, for us, they do roll over, yes.
Okay.
For us, they do roll. Be in the minutes, actually. Yeah, there's, I didn't print it sideways. So the reserves, projecting our budget for next year, comes out to be about 468,000.
I'm sorry, what is that again?
468,000 in reserves, and right now we have 400.
A lot of money.
And you know, our one of the reasons that Engage Franklin is so important to us is that we did some of the actual promotion, heavy lifting. And we interested how this shakes out with the time spent here. But it seems to me like on some of this that there could I'm kind of going thinking about this in different ways. There's a path where there's a direct financial support from the Tourism Commission for an existing or potential event, right? That meets the criteria we have, and then there's getting this might be the coordination part where you're taking everything that's going on in the city, and some of that be directed towards like an Engage Franklin, where there's somebody actually that can work on it. Sounds to me like that's part of the issue. You've got dedicated group of volunteers, but they're all in their event, right? And so you're almost for more people to think about these things on a broader basis. And who does that? I mean, I know it's not this commission. We can talk about it, but who does the real? Who makes phone calls? And that we.
Because I don't want to compete with Engage Franklin because their job is to draw people from without, but yet find a way that on a more local level we can engage some people.
Right, I thought that was part of their got a private. Yeah, they've got a component of their makeup that's what we're talking.
I thought that's one of the reasons why I want to engage Franklin, not just sports, but also to help with facilitate some of these smaller events. I wouldn't mind, it should be Engage Franklin that filters this. If we need to financially support something, give an additional dollars, that'd be one thing to Engage Franklin. Too, but I don't see how we can keep filtering money to these organizations directly, because it starts getting to be, we're going to be the ones saying we're the bad. Well, we just filter it through Engage Franklin. I thought that was the original intent of engaging Franklin and promoting the Engage Franklin. Again, I'll be interested to see how this shakes out with the management now and see if that still can continue, or is it just going to be pieces just going to be going running around picking up sporting events. That's what I have a hard time, because it's like, well, I thought the whole idea was supposed to be engaging Franklin into different activities, such as breeding smaller venues, and you're breeding the soccer. It's not the soccer team, but maybe a music concert that will draw. And now it just seems like it's going to be like go back to square one, or So then it's like, well, now I don't know how that's going to work out as a part-time position where we're looking at. I don't know how this all shakes out. And I thought that's the whole idea, was Engage Franklin was supposed to be the conduit.
They do the marketing and the promotion.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and the
so
volunteer.
if somebody has some idea that they want to market, that's the whole idea. We can get Engage Franklin to market it, whether it's here, we have this company that wants to bring this music theater group in. Hey, Frank, I think it's a worthwhile cause. Could you look into it? We'll give you additional. Dedicate more marketing dollars to doing this project. I think that's the best appropriate way to go than directly to this.
Well, that was our hope, right, to get them
Right.
to handle this actually, and to turn the calls and stay with them
Yeah.
and help them with their.
And hopefully it still continues. I don't,
Yeah.
like I said, I
Oh,
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we said we oversight on this, or we'd stay in touch, and I think we've just been handed a challenge here that we'll need to address because
But I think, you know, an arena where Engage Franklin isn't necessarily going to have the most expertise, and that's in the actual development of apps. We have the ability to use a resource and expand on it. We know we have this potential for soccer tournaments, but yet, you know, their facilities aren't fully evolved, and they're not engaged. They're not getting involved with Engage Franklin because they just don't have the bandwidth. And some of it's physical stuff, investment, because that's one of the tourism development components.
right.
Is facilities and engaging with that, edited that into the agreement, you know, so they could have the mobile visitor center. But there may be an opportunity to, not on an ongoing basis, but on a project, work with some of these entities that want to develop visitor, resource, visitor attractions. We can help with that resource. If they're nonprofits, like some of these sports clubs are, it makes it easier. If they're for-profit, and that gets to be, there's some real funky agreement writing that works.
Did that Engage Franklin agreement said in the agreement, now the funds we provide are 70 of our 70 needs to be spent this way. So we put a very, we can do with it. Some of this may be, that's why I think it comes back to us on identifying what projects fall, what requests for financial support and what organizations, come under our tourism promotion banner, because that'll help us with Engage Franklin. If we move in that direction, the direction that can come out of our marketing dollars, or is it something that's got to be maybe from their private funds, because it's more of a local.
Well, the only concern that I have, and I don't disagree with what you're saying, because we always did say to have them engage some of the local thing, but if their focus is on bringing people from outside the area, whether it's sports or whether it's bird watching or whatever the case may be, and you take like the concert in the parks, and somebody that, if that's their job or responsibility, how do we make this better? Do we bring in, I'm just making stuff up, bring in food trucks and, and a tent and everything. I don't want to necessarily just hand over money to a group and say, do this, but I don't want to stop Engage from bigger outreach efforts to bring people in from other states or cities to help somebody grow a smaller, more local-oriented event, if that makes sense.
It'd be an organic event that originates here that can be attractive to people outside, but it's not going outside.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. I don't know, is it worth a conversation with, at some point with the rec department to say, is this something you would be interested in, not interested at all? We could do some dollars for it, or would we at some point have the dollars to go to the city and say, well, we could fund an activities person at this level if you match the dollars? I'm just throwing different things out there because I don't have a handle. Just trying to look at what all the possibilities might be.
And I have a question too. I know that, I think it's the rec department that is going to build another facility just east of the middle school.
Yep.
Could you do you know anything more about that? And what that might entail? What is that going to look like? Or can we somehow, is there a partnership possible there?
Well, they've got plans, and they've got classrooms, and eventually a clinic for employees, health clinic for employees and families is in the works for that as well. Soccer fields. So I've got some neighbors that aren't happy with the location of the driveway that they want to put out right in front of their house, but so I don't know, we've never really had any substantive conversation with the rec department to see where they're going. I did have a conversation in there. They'd like to talk about some different things and see how we might be able to partner and do some things together. Like I said, it's just as the city grows and the demand for these things comes up, I just don't know who's going to be responsible, what role we may play. Maybe it's only money only. I don't know.
Because the rec department has, or somebody has purchased that property, right? Or the city
Yeah,
has.
they purchased that some time back when
Yes.
the greenhouse was torn down. Yeah,
So it belongs to the city now,
that belongs to the school district.
school district. Okay.
Totally separate entity.
Yeah.
So they're going to have parking for like 115 cars and a bunch of soccer fields and a little trail, and the expansion on the ECC building for rec department.
Well,
I mean, then, like I said, there's bigger stuff. So does it make sense for the city at some point in time to have a combined rec and parks department? Say that was a battle that was fought many, many years ago. But the population's different, the demographics are different. Just bought 80 acres for a future park.
yeah, this seems interesting. I'm having trouble with a clear path next to it because I'm trying to figure out how, like John said, there's some infrastructure things that you can do with room tax that creates a prison venue, an event, and then then what it seems like most of what this is about is really just trying to get more coordination, more overall planning, like looking at the inventory of what's going on in that space and what opportunities there are for these individual organizations maybe to work together or to
more opportunities more often for people to do with better promotion and resources.
That to me is a tough battle. Much management that needs to be done. And we can't get ourselves involved. I mean, we can't get ourselves involved in it. Now, again, maybe if the city wants to hire to create a job, that's not on our tourism. I mean, I think if it's an event that warrants us, what can we do? Throw money. That's basically all we can do. And promote, whether it's throw money, marketing, getting the word out, research, put it into the, we could, but to sit there and do the management of an event, that's like way above our pay grade. It is a big tackle job. I mean, I do that all the time, managing events. It's not easy. Like you said, we'll just get food trucks. Well, it's not easy because there's a lot to that. And then we're stepping on the toes of our local restaurants. And we're going to hear that end of it. So we got to be, I think we got to take ourselves out of it and take this just to the city level and say, okay, it's up there. If they want to combine the rec department with the school district and everything else, great. Maybe that's a suggestion. Have a person coordinate all that. That's great. But as far as tourism, I don't see that. We can promote. market
Well,
it.
but I mean, if there was a dollar, if it, in the future as it grows, there's a dollar amount that we could contribute towards that. Like you said, if it match with the city or match with the rec department or something, or, I don't know, just,
Well, one thing
Trying to
that
think.
came out of this is we need to dust off our grant request form. And maybe we bring that up and review that, and we talk about how do we handle, again, in a coordinated way, requests for support. Because they're going to come every year, and it would be great to be able to say, well, we can support, to get our, or to think about the dollars we've got that with, start making investments.
Because I don't see, or at least so far, Engage Franklin has not done that sort of thing. They haven't supported the smaller community events. Have they? I don't think.
Right,
Yeah, that's true.
they're
I'm
just
kidding.
getting,
Time,
they're
right?
just getting
They
started.
just, I mean,
That's true.
basically, it's the first board, I mean, it's, again, I thought that was the whole intent of that. Whether, and again, maybe they're going a different, maybe the idea is that direction is gonna have to change. As far as the person, I hope not, I think Laura does a great job, I think she can, but maybe she accelerate the point to bringing somebody on board.
Right.
To help with some of this.
Yeah, I think they've got their hand, just this budget, just the visitors guide. I know, right, director, just to pull that together for a director is takes about half of all their time, but I mean, it's consistent throughout the year. They're always working on it to get it, so just some of the things that we wanted to see happen here, right? Some collateral material, just the basics.
Have we seen samples of the collateral material that present?
I had my.
We saw that
we
one
do.
piece.
did when she went on that.
Right, but I mean, like she was talking about giving away bags. Has anybody seen what's in the bag? Maybe she could bring a sample to us at the next meeting to say this is what they, I'd like to see what's in that bag that it looks like. I mean, she was talking about a bag and she, just to see the, I mean, if, or, maybe she could buy it just, hey, this is what we're doing. We know, I mean, it sounds like the right direction, but it's just nice to what we presented with.
We should probably get visitor guide. We can.
And again, when she gets the website up and running, that'd be a great opportunity for some of these smaller places to promote their, we can, push their promotion, Engage Franklin, we market themselves. Say, okay, we're calendar events, put it on the calendar events. So that's where we can help some smaller groups. And maybe,
That'll be huge.
give ideas. So maybe, like I said, maybe they say, I would think that's the best way to do it, help these.
Right.
That's a big thing is marketing. Nobody can afford. I mean, it's just open up a website. No, they're not gonna open, but we have ours.
Look under the calendar there.
That was the intent.
And that event calendar. And this is where we could have an impact, right? Whereas they're developing this website. That events are an organic search item. The Wisconsin Hotel and Lodging Annual Conference, Stevens Point, bringing industry experts. So they had a couple of marketing because a lot of the folks that are going to Wisconsin Lodging are independents. They can really benefit, right? You're a brand, you get all that stuff from Hilton or Marriott, whatever. But if you store it up in Door County, you need somebody. Well, anyway, so a lot of their speakers are towards these independents. And the big talk this year was just what with Google's changes on our search. They keep refining it, and now with AI being put in the mix, what kinds of things on your website are going to get picked up and really and improve your first page search. And one of it was really get that thing that have multiple events and tie in and a robust events calendar
calendars. Many are called, fewer are executed.
Yeah.
Well, plus it costs money to be up at the top.
It's just like the city event calendars, are really up. Who does the updating on?
Well, staff, I mean.
Right, but I mean, it takes a staff,
Right.
takes a staff.
It takes,
to do it. And that's where like, again,
But see, the thing
Franklin
with
is, yeah.
the city events calendar, you know, that pulls in what's going on at the city for, you know, meetings and things like that. Community events calendar requires the community to send the information. That's the hard part.
Right.
So you gotta almost have someone go sell the free service, or maybe you charge for it. Maybe that's the key. You know, you
And
pay,
there's
and you
value.
can be on the calendar. People might use it.
especially if you start getting a lot of interest in your, I mean, that's the whole idea with, I think what Laura's talking about, you know, with the private funding, say, well, you have so many people following us, searches. That's where you start building your influence on Facebook, because, you know, and again, that's how this world is now.
I've said this before, and I'll just keep saying it. Maybe it'll happen someday, but the city needs a communications director. Full-time communications director.
Okay.
Say my piece again.
Yeah, we can take that back.
All you have to do is fund it.
Yeah. Well, for my part, I've got a binder of documents, minutes, but they go back to 2016. So I will look through, I know I have a copy of that form.
I'll look
Yeah,
I'll look in my
So see if you got
records.
electronically, and then I'll dig
Yeah.
through my stuff, and I'll scan when I find it. And send it to you.
I'm sorry that I could not articulate my thoughts better, but that's just the way it came out today, so.
Well, so we've advanced the ball on that a little bit. We'll because I think we started a conversation about, well, one, let's make sure that we've got our, when we talk about potential activities for the tourism commission, let's get some of our parameters in place. You know, what are our guidelines for getting involved? We're going to need that to evaluate these requests. And then that may help us think more clearly about what we can do, you know, in that area. That,
We'll
okay
dig
with
that
it?
up.
All right. We got voucher approvals next.
Okay. So I think that these funds are encumbered, and I think at most what they probably need is for Lance to sign one of the invoices. But I think what we'll do is if we could just approve this invoice for $30,000 for the naming rights agreement. And this will be the second payment.
This is the progress payment on that.
Yeah, we've paid 120, and so this
This is the
finishes
final.
up. This finishes up, takes it to the 150. And I'm going to see if I can find a more recent invoice. But I know that when we budget that stuff and say we're going to pay this now and so much later, sometimes that gets encumbered, and that's what happened with Engage Franklin. Those are encumbered, and I'm not even sure we need a signature on the invoice. They just get paid. And so that's the approval that I saw. But for this one here, we probably should just get a motion to approve this invoice, and that way I'm covered one way or another.
I was just
to
going to
get it
ask you whether it
approved.
even required a motion, in case something that's contractually obligated, but you,
Just to
you'd
be
better-
safe,
better
it's not
call
it's
that.
not going to hurt us if we.
no, it certainly wouldn't.
I make a motion to approve this and pay.
We've got a,
In-
all right. Motion for progress, $30,000 sponsorship, or remaining balance on the naming rights.
With
2020.
Milwaukee.
with the-
Okay.
I second.
All right, Jeff, discussion? All right, all those in favor? $1,000. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved. Would I got a nice clean copy here. You want me to just sign this?
Go ahead and sign it.
Cool. And that was it for vouchers, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Next meeting. So we're,
I can pull a calendar up.
that would be
I'll
great.
race you on your cell phones.
I'll do
And this is the third Wednesday of December, the 20th. Check your,
That does not work.
we're here in December. So typically we're not too bad on Wednesdays. So the 5th is a council meeting, the 7th is a plan commission meeting, and then the 19th would be a council meeting. And the 21st would be a plan commission. So
What does the week before the,
Like the 11th through the 15th? Is that what you-
yep. Yep. 13th.
13th be a possibility. By the way, next meeting that is December 13th. Yeah?
So moved.
a second?
Second, adjourn. All those in favor, say aye.
I-